Hello. If you've been following our channel, you might have noticed that we covered a video where we essentially used drones to map and inspect a particular roof, a warehouse roof. And the goal there was to essentially see whether we'd be able to actually do measurements with a drone versus traditional measurements from the ground using a tape measure. And it became quite an interesting, entertaining video where we realized that actually doing the measurements on the ground from a tape measure for a roof that big was just not possible. And actually, drones are a very efficient and effective way to be able to get accurate measurements of the roof. So, in this particular video, we're going to actually carry on with that specific project and we're going to look at how do we go about inspecting that same roof with AI. Let's have a look. Right, okay, so we've got the project now up on the screen, and if you've seen the first video, you will realize that actually we captured this particular building to do measurements, and in fact, it was measurements on one of these edges of the roof to be able to determine whether or not we've got the right measurements for doing more solar panels on the roof and whatnot. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the same roof, but we're going to actually start looking at using things like AI to do the inspection and be able to explain how you would go about using those particular defects and deficiency measurements for your workflows. So let's have a look at what this roof capture actually entailed. So if I bring up the image map, you'll notice that actually this was captured by essentially flying a double grid flight pattern on the roof. And then there was also a facade flight to be able to ensure that you've got all the facade captured as well. And it's one of the things that you need to always bear in mind that if you want to fully map a property and get the facade captured in high detail, you need to be able to take the facade images. So with that said, the way we would typically go and inspect this roof is to essentially convert the 3D model into a fixed 2D map to begin with. So we're going to try and sort of position this roof in a way that aligns on the screen. So let's just put this sort of in this top-down format. I'm going to turn on my surface mode over here. And then what I can do is actually I can fix the 3D model so that I can now go over the roof in a bit more detail. And I can essentially look for all sorts of issues and understand what defects and deficiencies might be important to flag. So almost as if I was a drone flying on this building and doing video, I can actually go and sort of look at the roof, move around and see all the different things that are going on. So for example, I've already spotted, and this might be the place where I can show you how to use some of the AI workflows. I've actually spotted that there's all this sort of staining going on right here in the shading area of the solar panels, and that's probably because this area is essentially shaded by the solar panels. So any water that would essentially accumulate over here, any kind of pooling water, ponding water, would actually take longer to dry off if you compare it with the rest of the roof. And for that simple reason, it's going to stay on the roof for a lot longer and cause all these stains that you see. And so that's sort of like a very clear-cut use case where we sort of see all of these different areas of ponding water. And actually, the moment I see the solar panels have sort of gone away, the ponding water recedes away. We've got this sort of little area over here, but we can ignore that for the moment. So this might be it. Maybe we've got to actually document all of this ponding water in the shading area and try and understand what the measurements for that looks like. So we'll do that in just a second, but just to kind of give you an overview, we can still go through the entire roof in the same way and just pick up on any things that might look out of ordinary and out of place, really. So another thing I can see is if I go into some of these panels over here, we've got some rust formation going on. And yeah, that's sort of consistent across both of these two panels. And so if I wanted to document that, I can very quickly and easily just double click on that particular area of rusting. And Hammer Missions, the software platform that I'm using to do this inspection, will bring up the closest image that shows me that particular area of rusting. And I will be able to then make the determination whether we are in a position to give that a markup and to look at it more closely. So the image that is identified is this image over here from the 3D models perspective. And what we're looking at is essentially the same sort of structure, same sort of area where we've got this issue. And I can then go ahead. And the only issue is that I think this image is, it might be flipped. So I could actually just put it into the right sort of orientation and then look at it exactly in the same way. Just so that, yeah, and it seems like this is exactly what we're looking at over here. And so what we're able to do now is we're able to actually mark that up as an area of concern. So we can sort of say, well, we've got some rust formation over here or some corrosion going on, and we can document issues that way. So as we do that process for a lot of the different deficiencies and defects on this roof, what happens in the background and what we're able to do is we're able to actually use and generate AI models that can actually help us do this process in a much more efficient and quick manner. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this and I'm going to show you how you could use an AI model to go and detect all of these areas and more importantly, quantify all of these areas of water ponding. So we would go into the Hammer Missions AI, and once we've gone into the Hammer Missions AI, we go into our Your Models tab. And so once we have the Your Models tab, we go in and to look for a water staining model. So we've got a couple of different AI models over here. So we've got one for ponding water, we've got one for water staining, and then we've got one for water ponds. And so what we were able to actually do is we were able to use this model on this particular project. So what I can do is I can just go ahead and essentially use this model. So I'm just going to press that button over there. And then what happens is AI essentially starts looking at all of the data and starts annotating the model for all of these defects. So we're going to give that a go. And we're going to give it its time, and we're going to come back and look at what it's produced. Right, okay, so we're now back, and we've had AI go and sort of look at the 3D model and the images, and it has created some markups for us, as we would expect. So it's gone in and it's sort of marked up all of these water stains as potential issues. If we use this particular orientation, we can actually see that it's sort of numbered and marked up all of these water stains on the roof. And if I wanted to sort of dig deeper into any one of those, I can just double click on that particular markup, and AI is going to tell me the area that it's marked up. So if you look at that particular area, we've got water staining over there, and it's also picked up the water staining over there. And if I kind of go into some of the other ones and double click on that, it's going to show me some of the other water stains that have been picked up by AI on that particular side of the roof with the water staining and the shaded area. We've also got some other areas that have been marked up, which is interesting. So if you look at these numbers over here, it's also gone and sort of marked up some of these other areas of water staining that we didn't really have in our consideration before. So we weren't really looking at this sort of stains, but they'd sort of gone and marked those up anyway because they look very similar to the stains that we were essentially talking about in the shaded area. If I go and click on that, I should be able to see a very similar stain on that particular part. And so just gonna wait for this image to load, and yeah, it sort of identified that stain from a different angle. Nevertheless, it's a stain, and it's sort of been able to identify a number of those. Now, it's really a question for us. I mean, do we really want to sort of use those in our particular assessments? Maybe not, because we're really just interested in the stains in this sort of shaded area at the moment. And so what we were able to do is we can actually go into our delete sort of a bin over here, and we can just go delete them, really. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, AI will sometimes find things that are not relevant and you really don't need it for the exercise. And it can be hard to sort of explain and give AI the entire context in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And so what I've done is I've actually gone and selected the ones that I don't need, and I'm just going to go have a quick scan around the building. And in fact, there are a couple of other stains that have been detected by AI. So if you look at these particular stains over here, there are also relevant stains. And but then at the same time, for the exercise we are after, we don't really need these stains either. So I'm just going to go mark them up as well, and they're ready for deletion. I'm going to mark that one as well. Seems like there's some staining in there as well. And this is one of the challenges currently with AI, is that, of course, it's going to help you in the process where we didn't have to go and like mark each one of them up. And it's helping you actually look for stains in other places that you wouldn't maybe look at. And especially in my workflow, I know that I only covered the roof and I didn't even look at the ground because maybe that was not relevant. But because all the data's there and it's all sort of very quick for AI to look at, it only takes about 10 minutes for the AI to look at all of this. I'm able to actually, get alerted or sort of, I'm sort of drawn towards some of these areas I might have missed. And so I think where the AI can really add value is that once you have a project like this and you either you've got very low number of deficiencies and therefore you can mark everything up yourself. And what AI is doing is just showing you areas that you might have missed. And in places where you've got a lot of deficiency, then you can clearly see them, but it just would take you ages to actually mark everything up. That's where AI can actually add a lot of efficiency and do some of that legwork for you. But I'm going to stop rambling over here and I'm going to delete these. So bye-bye, extra deficiencies. So those defects are now gone. And I can also close my 2D view over there, which clearly showed that that's also gone. Now, with that's all cleaned up, all I've got on the screen is basically the deficiencies that I was interested in. So the ones in the shading area, they have been nicely marked up, and I didn't have to do any sort of manual markup myself, which is nice, all marked up. And then if I go into my quantification tab over here, we've got about 9 deficiencies that have been noted. They're all of the same kind, which is water staining. None of them were assessed by me. They were all done by AI. And we've got a total area for all of them as well, which is 300 something square feet, which is great because if you think about the time it would take for me to kind of like go in and sort of manually measure this. I mean, this is only 9 deficiencies. So you've got 3 over here, 3 there, 2 there, and it's probably another one that's being counted, so that it's giving it a number of 9. I'm going to export a report and see what that looks like. But essentially, we've got all of this sort of marked up and quantified. But imagine if this was not just 9, but 20 or 50. Now you're sort of looking at a lot of time to be able to mark up everything. And at the same time, if I want to create a precise estimate in terms of how long would the repair take, or how much material do I need, all of that stuff is sort of easily quantifiable. Now, obviously, this is just a silly example of this sort of stains of this particular part of the roof in this shading area. But over time, it might just lead to some other issue because water is just accumulating there, not drying off easily. And just knowing that ahead of time can give you the data that you need to be able to take preemptive action. So we're going to go ahead and do the last step in this process, which is to generate a report. So we're going to hit generate report, and we're going to let that run, and we're going to come back and see what that report looks like, and then conclude the video. So we'll see you in a sec. Okay, right. So we are now back with the report having been exported. And so what we're going to look at is to sort of see what that report looks like. So we're going to download the report. In fact, I've already done that. And so we're going to look at the report right here. So what we were able to do is we were able to, actually, let me just bring this up in a sort of different tab. So, okay, cool, there we go. So what we were able to do is we were able to look at all of the data that we were looking in the platform, but now it's all been reported and put together into a PDF format. You can also get this out in Word if needed. It's very simple. And what it's telling us is essentially all of the sort of water stained area. And in fact, if you realize before I exported the reports, we were looking at 9 observations as opposed to 8, and the area was slightly larger. And what's happened is that I realized I went through the data and there was another observation on the ground that needed to be deleted. So that's been deleted. And we've now got 8 observations and 173 square foot of area, and making it a much tighter estimate. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of those observations have been captured and they have been exported into our reports. So 8 observations and the right area quantified. And we've got a table showing us all of those different kind of deficiencies with different numbers, and no comments on them at the moment. But if I wanted to, I could add comments in terms of any repair suggestions and any suggestions for maintenance, really. Maybe that area needs to be kind of exposed to sun, or we need to be cleaning it better. I don't really know, but the idea is that we need to be able to actually keep an eye on all of these things. And so over here, we've got sort of photographs that show us the conditions we're interested in, and just shows them in much more detail. And it also gives us sort of like the summary of where they are on the roof, which photograph shows them, and also a couple of different examples of all of them put together. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple report. It gives us what the issues are, which is all these stains of water. It tells us where they are in terms of their location. It also gives us the quantification of how much area do they occupy on the roof, and how many observations there are. But this report could be a lot more comprehensive, with lots of different types of issues, everything from cracks to missing tiles and all sorts of issues that you find on roofs. And if you wanted to sort of look at any of these particular deficiencies in more detail, and let's say you've given this report to a stakeholder and they really want to see what's going on with these 2 particular areas of staining, you can just click on this Open in 3D Web View. That's going to take them straight into the platform, and it's going to show them that particular image. But not only that, they will be able to see the entire roof and where all those deficiencies are, the ones they were looking at in the reports, and try and sort of understand that in more detail if required. So all in all, that's a very sort of quick summary of how you can use AI to help with your roof inspections. And even though this particular video is focused on using it for stains on a roof, for shaded areas, you can actually use it for any kind of deficiency or defect. It's all about having those AI models and having a software platform that sort of complements those workflows. We at Hammer Missions are building this as a platform to be very, very focused on inspections and assessments. So if you have any comments on how you would like to see AI applied to help your workflows, feel free to get in touch. We're very eager to learn more from what you're seeing out in the field and how the software can potentially help your workflows. So anyway, we'd love to sort of see you get in touch. And if you like this video, do subscribe to our channel. We're planning to make a lot more videos on AI, roofs, facades, building inspections, and all kinds of structural inspections. So if you're curious and you want to stay in the know, do give us a like, and we'll see you in the next video.